corporation estimates the aggregate cost of the facility is going to be $11.5 million. The contract calls for payments $1 million in the first year, $1 million in the second year, $2 million in the third year, and the final payment of $12.5 million in year 4. The company completes the facility on schedule in year 4, but has a massive cost overrun. The actual costs turn out to be $13.5 million. And then we get a schedule of the exact costs by year, adding up to that $13.5 million. The question is, how do they report their income from the contract? And I've given you a handout. It can be done by just filling in the blanks, although the logic of it is a little complicated. The first thing you write down are the estimated revenues. We know that the estimated revenues are $16.5 million spread over years 1 through 4. $1 million, $2 million, $12.5 million. So those are your estimated revenues. Your estimated cost is just a number, $11.5 million. We don't actually have to break that out by year, so I haven't. We just estimate the total cost to be $11.5 million. We then ask, what are the actual costs? And the actual costs are $13.5 million, and they're spread $500,000 in year 1, $3 million in year 2, $6 million in year 3, $4 million in year 4. So now we've entered all the data that we've got. Estimated revenues, estimated costs, and actual costs. Now we have to figure out the completion factor. The completion factor in year 1 is the actual costs, $500,000, divided by the total estimated costs of 11.5. You don't know what the total actual costs will be. You're still using estimated costs. So the completion factor in year 1 is 4.35%. Okay? In year 2, I take a shorthand. Technically what the rule says is add up the costs for year 1 and year 2, divide them by the estimated cost, and get an overall aggregate completion factor. But as a mathematical shorthand and for presentation purposes, I just take the new costs. So the new costs in year 2 are 26.09% of the estimated costs. Okay? In year 3, you do the same thing. You get actual costs of $6 million divided by estimated costs of 11.5, or 52.17% new costs incurred in year 3. And finally, in year 4, you get 34.78% as your completion factor. Now notice an odd thing. If you go add that column backwards to fill in the total, you get 117%. Your actual costs were a fairly major cost overrun. You spent 17% more than you budgeted. Therefore, your completion factors skew things. They don't show a fair picture. And when you apply the, hold off on that. But in any event, the rules tell you to compute your completion factor in this way each year of the contract, even though on this set of facts it adds up to 117%. Now, it could be the other way. If your costs came in lower than your estimate, your aggregate completion factor would be something less than 100%. It's not going to be exactly 100% unless you estimate